Welcome, seekers of hidden truths. If you haven't subscribed yet, take a moment. It only takes a second, and it helps us bring you more deep dives into the world's most secretive power struggles. Tonight, we're pulling back the velvet curtain on the Vatican to ask, who really chooses the Pope? Is it the will of the Holy Spirit, or the influence of billion-dollar donors and political power brokers? As the world mourned the passing of Pope Francis, Rome became the stage for a drama few could have imagined. While 133 cardinal electors gathered in secrecy, a different kind of congregation was assembling in the shadows. Wealthy American Catholics, many with close ties to the MAGA movement and conservative political circles, arrived in the Vatican. Just as the conclave was about to begin, their timing was no coincidence. What was meant to be America Week, a high-profile fundraising event, suddenly overlapped with the most consequential papal election in decades. These donors, some members of the exclusive American Papal Foundation, where entry requires a minimum donation of $1 million, were seen mingling with influential cardinals, raising questions about whether money and politics could sway the outcome of the conclave, as reported by the Catholic Herald and LinkedIn Pulse. One member of the Papal Foundation reportedly declared, "This room could raise $1 billion to help the Church, so long as we have the right Pope." That single statement reveals the immense financial leverage at play, and the belief among some that the future of the Catholic Church can be shaped by those with the deepest pockets. But it's not just about money, it's about ideology. Organizations like the Napa Institute, another conservative Catholic group, also made their presence felt in Rome. Their founder, Tim Bush, has openly praised former President Trump for leading the most Christian administration he had ever witnessed. Behind closed doors, Napa Institute members reportedly dined with voting cardinals, including American Cardinal James Harvey, fueling speculation about backroom lobbying and the quiet influence of American conservatism on the papal selection process. Even President Trump himself couldn't resist inserting his presence into the Vatican's most sacred ritual. He attended Pope Francis's funeral, made public endorsements for his favored candidates, especially New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan, and even posted an AI-generated image of himself dressed as the Pope, a move widely criticized by church leaders and the global Catholic community. Politico.eu, LinkedIn Pulse. Yet, despite these unprecedented efforts, history tells us the Church has always been wary of electing a pope from a global superpower like the United States, precisely to avoid the appearance of outside interference. But this year, with the conclave's record-breaking size and the world's eyes fixed on Rome, the question lingers. Has the line between spiritual authority and worldly power finally been crossed? Behind the scenes, the Vatican is a world of rituals, secrets, and centuries-old traditions. But it's also a place where influence and ambition collide. For generations, the Catholic Church has projected an image of unity and spiritual purity. But as investigative journalists like Jason Horowitz of the New York Times have revealed, the reality is far more complex. The process of electing a pope is supposed to be guided by prayer and divine inspiration. Yet the corridors of the Vatican are often filled with whispers of alliances, promises, and strategic maneuvering. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why things are the way they are in the Catholic Church? Why certain cardinals rise to power while others fade into obscurity? Why some reforms are embraced and others are quietly buried? These questions don't just haunt conspiracy theorists. They're asked by faithful Catholics and curious outsiders alike, especially when millions of dollars and international politics seem to be at stake. During the latest conclave, reports surfaced of secret dossiers being circulated among cardinals, files containing information about candidates' pasts, their political leanings, and even their personal scandals. According to the National Catholic reporter and Vatican expert John L. Allen, Jr., these dossiers are sometimes used to sway votes, ensuring that only the right kind of pope ascends to the throne of St. Peter. It's a practice as old as the Church itself, but in the digital age, the stakes have never been higher, and the flow of information and misinformation has never been faster. Meanwhile, conservative Catholic media outlets and influential figures have ramped up their campaigns, both online and offline, to shape the narrative around the papal election. The Catholic News Agency and Crux Now have documented how think tanks and advocacy groups, many funded by American billionaires, have poured resources into promoting their preferred vision for the future of the Church. Whether it's opposing progressive reforms or supporting traditional doctrines, these groups are determined to ensure that the next pope aligns with their worldview. But the influence doesn't stop at the Vatican gates. Political leaders from around the world, especially those with strong Catholic constituencies, keep a close watch on the papal election. Some, like Italy's Prime Minister and even US senators, have been rumored to send private messages of support or warning to key cardinals, hoping to tip the scales in their favor. As reported by Politico and The Tablet, the intersection of faith and politics has never been more pronounced. All of this raises a chilling question. Is the papal conclave truly a sacred event? Or has it become just another battleground for the world's most powerful interests? As the smoke rises from the Sistine Chapel and a new pope steps onto the balcony, how much of what we see is divine will? And how much is the result of calculated strategy, secret deals, and billion-dollar influence? For many, the idea that the papacy could be shaped by outside forces is deeply unsettling. Yet history is filled with examples of political and financial interests shaping the Church's direction. In the Renaissance, powerful Italian families like the Medicis and Borgias openly bought influence, and even the papal throne itself, as chronicled in Eamon Duffy's Saints and Sinners, A History of the Popes. While the methods have become more discreet, the underlying dynamics remain strikingly similar. Today's billion-dollar donors may not wield swords or armies, but their wealth opens doors and grants them access to the highest echelons of Vatican power. According to a 2023 investigation by The Pillar, American Catholic foundations have quietly funneled millions into Rome, funding everything from charitable works to lavish renovations, and, some allege, currying favor with key decision-makers. The Papal Foundation, for example, has provided over $200 million in grants to Vatican projects since its inception, a fact proudly displayed on their official website. But it's not just about money changing hands, it's about shaping the very future of the Church. The Napa Institute, with its annual gatherings of wealthy Catholics, bishops, and conservative thought leaders, has become a hub for those seeking to influence doctrine and policy. As reported by the National Catholic Reporter, the Institute's closed-door sessions often feature discussions on how to counter what they see as the liberal drift of the Church under Pope Francis. Meanwhile, the conclave itself is not immune to these pressures. Cardinals are supposed to be isolated from the outside world, but as Vatican correspondent Robert Mickens noted in La Croix International, information and influence still finds its way in. Whispered conversations, coded messages, and even subtle gestures can signal alliances and intentions. In this environment, every handshake matters, and every word can tip the balance. It's no wonder that many Catholics, and even some cardinals, have begun to question whether the process is as sacred and impartial as it appears. As historian John L. Allen Jr. points out in Conclave, the politics, personalities, and process of the next papal election, the selection of a pope has always been a blend of spirituality and politics, but the scale of modern influence is unprecedented. So, as the world watches the white smoke rise and the new pope steps forward, we have to ask ourselves, are we witnessing the will of God or the triumph of worldly power? And if the latter is true, what does that mean for the future of the Catholic Church and its billions of followers? While the Vatican continues to present itself as a bastion of spiritual authority, the reality behind closed doors is far more complicated, and for some, deeply unsettling. Recent years have seen the Church rocked by financial scandals that have reached the very heart of the Holy See. As documented in the 2021 documentary, Corruption in the Vatican, the Secretariat of State was embroiled in a massive financial scandal involving the purchase of a luxury building in London, with high-ranking prelates and external financiers accused of orchestrating a criminal plot to loot the Vatican's coffers. Pope Francis himself had to order the Vatican judiciary to proceed without leniency, signaling just how serious and widespread these issues had become. But financial intrigue is only one layer of the Vatican's complex web of power. Throughout history, and even in recent conclaves, rumors and conspiracy theories have swirled about secret deals, external pressures, and even threats influencing the selection of the Pope. One of the most persistent theories dates back to the 1958 Papal Conclave, where some claim that Cardinal Giuseppe Siri was actually elected Pope, only to have his election suppressed by outside threats, allegedly from powerful geopolitical actors or secret societies. Proponents of this theory, as detailed in Paul L. Williams' The Vatican Exposed, cite declassified U.S. State Department documents and mysterious signals like the sudden change of white smoke to black, suggesting that the true will of the cardinals was overridden by forces far beyond the Vatican walls. Even today, as cardinals gather in the Sistine Chapel, the process is shrouded in secrecy and speculation. With 133 cardinal electors isolated from the outside world, the conclave is supposed to be immune to external influence. But as Euronews has reported, waves of disinformation and conspiracy theories continue to circulate online, fueling public suspicion about what really happens inside those locked doors. 13. Claims of secret lobbying, dossiers exchanged in the shadows, and the quiet but powerful presence of billion-dollar donors all add to the sense that the election of a pope is about much more than prayer and tradition. In the end, the question remains: is the papal conclave truly a sacred ritual guided by, or is it a high-stakes contest shaped by money, politics, and hidden agendas? The truth may never be fully known, but the fascination and the suspicion will always endure. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. And if you have any other theories about the Vatican or the papal elections, what secrets do you think still lie hidden behind those ancient walls? Let's keep the conversation going.